The stadium lights burned through the night sky like artificial suns, casting long shadows across the perfect green grass below. Tens of thousands of fans filled the stands, their voices blended into a thunderous roar that echoed through the massive arena. Flags waved, phones glowed like thousands of tiny stars. Commentators spoke quickly, almost breathlessly, as cameras scanned the field. Because everyone in that stadium knew something. Tonight might be one of those nights. A night when football stops being just a sport and becomes something much bigger. A moment, a story, a memory that fans replay again and again for years. Because football is not just about speed, it is not just about power, and it is not just about scoring goals. The greatest moments in football history come from something else entirely. Intelligence, the invisible skill, the quiet genius, the split-second decision that turns an ordinary play into something unforgettable. The kind of moment where millions of people watching suddenly lean forward and say the same thing at the exact same time. Did you see that? These are the moments of football IQ, the moments where the game slows down for one player while everyone else is still trying to catch up. And tonight, we are stepping into the world of football intelligence. The smartest goals, the sharpest plays, the moments that prove football is not just played with the feet, it is played with the mind. Because in football, the smartest player on the pitch can sometimes defeat the fastest. And when intelligence meets opportunity, magic happens. The match had just begun. The ball moved quickly through midfield as both teams tried to establish control. Players sprinted, defenders shouted instructions, and the crowd buzzed with anticipation. At first glance, everything looked normal, but there was one player standing quietly near the center circle, watching, studying, calculating. He wasn't sprinting wildly like the others, he wasn't shouting, he wasn't even demanding the ball. Instead, he was observing everything: the defenders, the goalkeeper, the gaps forming between players. Because great football intelligence begins with one simple skill: awareness, the ability to see the game before it happens. And suddenly, the ball rolled toward him. Just a simple pass from a teammate, nothing special, nothing dangerous. At least, that's what everyone else thought. But in the split second before the ball even reached his foot, his brain had already mapped the entire field. One defender slightly out of position, another drifting too far forward, the goalkeeper standing 2 steps too far off his line. 3 tiny details, 3 tiny mistakes, 3 tiny opportunities. The ball touched his foot, and everything changed. Instead of controlling it normally, he flicked it. Just one delicate touch. The defender lunged forward expecting a pass, but the ball had already slipped past him. The second defender rushed to close the gap, but he was already too late. With astonishing calm, the player lifted the ball forward with the outside of his boot. Not a powerful strike, not even a full shot, just a soft chip. For a moment, the entire stadium seemed confused. The ball floated slowly through the air, too slow, too gentle, too smart. The goalkeeper suddenly realized what was happening. He spun around, leaped backwards, stretched his arms as far as he could, but the ball continued floating, drifting, falling perfectly. And then it kissed the back of the net. For half a second, silence. Then the stadium exploded. Commentators shouted, fans jumped from their seats, teammates sprinted across the pitch in disbelief. Because that goal wasn't about power. It wasn't about speed. It was about vision. The kind of football intelligence that turns a simple moment into brilliance. But sometimes, the smartest moments in football aren't even goals. Sometimes the genius lies in the pass no one expected, the movement nobody noticed, the play that happens so fast, people barely realize what they've witnessed. One of those moments came during a tense match where both teams had been locked in a stalemate for nearly an hour. Defenders were compact, midfielders were exhausted. Every attack seemed to collapse before it even reached the penalty box. The game had become predictable, slow, frustrating. until one player decided to change everything. He received the ball with his back to the goal. Two defenders immediately closed in. Most players would panic. Most players would pass backward. Most players would try to escape pressure. But he did something different. He stood still. For one brief moment, he didn't move at all. And that tiny pause confused everyone. The defenders hesitated. Teammates froze. Even the commentators stopped mid-sentence. Then suddenly, he spun. Not toward the defenders, but away from them. At the same moment, without even looking, he flicked the ball behind his own leg. A blind pass, a completely unexpected movement. The defenders turned around too late, because another teammate had already sprinted into the empty space. The ball rolled perfectly into his path. The defense was broken. The goalkeeper rushed forward. One touch, one shot, goal. The stadium erupted again, not just because of the finish, but because of the intelligence behind the play. Because the real magic happened 2 seconds earlier. The moment someone saw a possibility no one else could see. Football history is full of these moments. Moments where intelligence defeats chaos. Moments where creativity rewrites the rules. Moments where players prove that the smartest mind on the field can control the entire game. Sometimes it happens through positioning, sometimes through timing, and sometimes through pure, unbelievable creativity. Like the moment during a heated rivalry match when a player noticed something incredibly strange. The opposing team had formed a defensive wall during a free kick. 5 players standing shoulder to shoulder, completely focused, completely serious. But they had forgotten one tiny detail, something most people watching never even noticed. Behind the wall, there was a small gap, a narrow path, barely wide enough for a ball. The kicker stepped back. The referee blew the whistle. Everyone expected a powerful shot curling over the wall. The defenders jumped high. The goalkeeper leaped sideways, but the ball never went over. It slid quietly across the grass, straight through the tiny gap beneath the jumping defenders, rolling slowly, perfectly, into the bottom corner. The stadium exploded in laughter and disbelief, because sometimes the smartest move is the simplest one. But football intelligence isn't just about creativity. It is also about anticipation, understanding where the ball will go before anyone else realizes it. There was once a moment during a fast counterattack that perfectly captured this idea. The attacking team sprinted forward, 3 players charging toward the penalty area. The defenders scrambled desperately to keep up. The crowd rose to their feet. Everyone expected a cross, or maybe a powerful shot. But one player on the attacking side wasn't watching the ball. He was watching something else. The defender. He noticed the defender's body position, the direction of his feet, the angle of his shoulders. And from those tiny clues, he predicted exactly what would happen next. The defender stretched his leg to intercept the pass, but that interception became the trap, because the attacker had already moved, 2 steps to the left, exactly where the deflected ball landed. The goalkeeper had no time to react. The shot flew into the net, and millions of viewers watching at home replayed the moment again and again, trying to understand how he knew, how he predicted it, how he saw something that didn't exist yet. The answer was simple: football IQ. As the years passed, more moments like these began appearing across stadiums around the world. Young players studying the game, learning patterns, understanding movement, realizing that football isn't just physical, it is psychological, strategic, mathematical, a chess match played at full speed. And the smartest players are always 3 moves ahead. In one unforgettable match, a team was losing badly, 2 goals behind. The crowd had begun to lose hope. The opposing team controlled possession and slowed the tempo. Time was slipping away. But one player refused to accept defeat. He walked toward his teammates and whispered something, a simple idea, a risky plan, one that required perfect timing. Moments later, the ball rolled out for a throw-in near the corner. Nothing unusual, just another restart. But the moment the defender picked up the ball, everything changed. Instead of throwing it down the line, he launched it backward, far backward, toward midfield. Everyone froze. The opposing defenders turned their heads in confusion, and that confusion was the opportunity, because 3 attackers suddenly sprinted forward at the exact same moment. The defense had stepped too high. They were completely exposed. One long pass, one perfect run, one unstoppable finish. Goal! The stadium came alive again, hope returned, momentum shifted, and all of it began with one intelligent idea, one creative solution, one moment of football IQ. Because the truth about football is this: the most incredible plays rarely come from luck. They come from players who see the game differently, players who slow down the chaos, players who understand the hidden language of movement and space, players who know that sometimes the smartest move is not the hardest one. Sometimes it is simply the most unexpected. And when those moments happen, when intelligence meets courage, when vision meets execution, football transforms. It becomes art, a beautiful, unpredictable masterpiece unfolding in real time. And somewhere in a packed stadium, a young fan watches those moments with wide eyes, learning, dreaming, understanding that football greatness isn't only about strength or speed. It is about thinking faster, seeing clearer, and believing in ideas no one else dares to try. Because somewhere in the future, that same fan might step onto a pitch, the crowd roaring, the ball rolling toward their feet, and in that single moment, they might see something no one else can see. A gap, a movement, an impossible opportunity. And with one brilliant touch, they might create the next unforgettable moment of football intelligence. The kind of moment that millions will watch, replay, and remember forever. Because in football, the smartest mind can change everything.